Hello, welcome everybody. Today we have a special Hanummanian Day activity, and we have with us today Satyajit Kuchar from We and Homeopathy, and he is going to be talking to us about Materia Medica. Thank you very much for joining us, and we have ongoing learning sessions that we are very, very happy to have everybody join, and this will go on YouTube as well, on the Homeopathy for Humanity YouTube channel. Okay, so over to you, Satyajit.
In fact, thank you. Thank you so much for inviting me, and thank you so much for having me with you on this auspicious day. Because it's a great pleasure and honor to share a talk with you and Sanjay sir. And thank you everyone who has joined us today. So shall I share my screen? How can I share the PPT with you?
By doing screen share. I offered screen share to you. You should be able to. Sanjay, can you help with that?
Yes, I just. So
there you go. You got it.
The PPT visible? Okay.
It will be visible. There you go. Very nice.
Okay.
Yep. So this is with We and Homeopathy.
So
as we can
for
see here on the
humanity.
PowerPoint.
Okay. It's visible in the large, right?
Yep, that's
yes.
good.
So wholeheartedly, I pay my tribute to Dr. Samuel Hahnemann with utmost respect and veneration, because with utmost reverence and veneration. And thank you so much, Tikwa ma'am and Sanjay sir, for having me with you. And this picture, this particular one, is the original picture of Dr. Samuel Hahnemann. The rest all are portraits. I just wanted to share this original one, and I'll directly come to the topic now. What we shall consider today. Why are we aloof from Materia Medica Pura? Why are we indifferent to Materia Medica Pura? My journey towards Materia Medica Pura. Why do we need to go towards Materia Medica Pura, and the relevance of opinions of old and current stalwarts that shall lead us towards Materia Medica Pura. Introduction to Materia Medica Pura and exploring Materia Medica Pura with example. I hope the agenda is clear. Shall I move forward, Tikoma?
Oh, yes. Yes. So whenever you're ready.
So why are we indifferent to Materia Medica Pura? Sparing a handful of people like Sanjay sir, Tikwa ma'am, and a handful of stalwarts who keep guiding us to regarding Materia Medica Pura or chronic disease, a majority of the homeopathic fraternity is still aloof and indifferent from Materia Medica Pura. And I guess everyone will agree with me regarding that. Is it? I think this is the case, ma'am, right?
Yes, it is very much the case. For some reason, people tend to be scared of it or not know how to use it. And it's like kind of a perplexing thing for people. And people are not accustomed to using proving data. Nobody's accustomed to, after they've done an initial repertorization, to then go to the proving data and then look for the exact wording in the proving, which is so helpful for us. That way there's no hearsay and no confusion as to whether or not a remedy is suitable.
Yes, even in medical colleges, we don't have few drugs from Materia Medica Pura. We just reading Allen's keynotes and some other common Materia Medicas, but they are also not encouraging, even it not included in syllabus also.
Yes, exactly. Unless and until you have a teacher who is self-motivated, or unless and until you have a teacher who himself or herself is engrossed in Materia Medica Pura, you won't have any access to the teachings of Materia Medica Pura. First of all, there's a lack of motivation regarding Materia Medica Pura, just as there is a lack of motivation regarding chronic diseases or the organon proper or the lesser writings. There's lack of insight, as just as what Tikwa ma'am just said. People don't know how to use it. The lack of insight regarding Materia Medica. We just think it's a proving material, it's a source book, and that would not be helpful at the bedside. This is what the common misconception is. Lack of proper guidance. Obviously, there are very handful of people who are guiding us who are motivating us, who are like telling us like you should read Materia Medica Pura, you should use Materia Medica Pura. And the fourth factor, I think many people are like misguided by the fourth factor. We are so much fascinated by the personification in the Materia Medica. We are fascinated by the Materia Medica, which gives us personality profiles, which are very interesting to read. Some of my one of my colleagues has made a statement that these days Materia Medica has become a fairy tale. We are more interested we are more interested in those Materia Medicas which provide us interesting personality profiles, and we are least bothered will we encounter them in real practice or not. It's like a fairy tale. We are so much engrossed in uh, these Materia Medicas.
Oh, I
And
agree with you 100%. Sorry to interrupt, but
No, no,
this
please.
is a problem that people get interested with the fun stuff, the exciting stuff. There's a homeopath named Vera here in Israel, and she calls it sexy homeopathy, to go into the people's minds and do these things and read these exciting portraits, as opposed to, and this person, when they laid on their left side, had a shooting pain in their right foot. You know what I mean?
And now they become blank where to find the symptoms, and they don't. And the worst part is there is a group of people who says that physicals aren't important at all, even if they are confirmed in the provings. This is happening. And even if we are passionate about some standard Materia Medicas, there is a group of people, who are like very much particular about how to read Allen's keynotes, how to read Borik's Materia Medica. There is a group of teachers, very passionate teachers, who keep emphasizing read Farrington, read Tyler, read Pulford, read Copperthwaite. But even with such an attitude, even with such a passionate attitude towards Materia Medica, very few amongst us have been able to transcend all these barriers and reach out to Materia Medica Pura in the real sense. I think these are the commonest like distractions which prevent us from making our steps towards Materia Medica Pura.
Super,
Is it
sir.
fine, ma'am?
Super.
Old and modern Materia Medica gurus about Materia Medica Pura. Why? There's a statement in Kent's New Remedies, Lesser Writings, and Aphorisms and Precepts. He says that you cannot count 25 decent provings in Xenomen. If this is such a strong statement, why shouldn't we go towards Materia Medica Pura or chronic diseases or Allen's Encyclopedia or George Provings or such sources or Encyclopedia of Drug Pathogenesis? If such statement, we are like so much fascinated by newer proved drugs and rare remedies. The rarer the remedy, the more the fascination these days, you might have seen. Right. And we are forgetting those drugs which are already mentioned in our older classics. If one says that this was a statement made by Dr. Kent and it has been a long duration now, but in a very recent Instagram live, I would like to mention the name of that person, Dr. L.M. Khan sir. I hope Tikva ma'am, you might have heard about Dr. L.M. Khan sir. He's one of the he's one of the greatest exponents of the Kolkata style if we have a superficial outlook. But one of his students has made a YouTube video on the study of Naxwamika from Materia Medica Pura. He also encourages the use of Materia Medica Pura. He was like in a very recent YouTube video, in a very recent Instagram IGTV video, I saw him how importance he was giving to Hahnemannian provings, the methodology what Dr. Hahnemann employed. So even the stalwarts who have a bustling, booming practice, even they are talking about these classics. That makes it so relevant. It is not the case that only older stalwarts were talking it. So we need to take it seriously that way. Dr. Andre Saini is one of my favorites. What he says about Materia Medica Pura is, Hahnemann called it pure. pure from interpretation, pure from making a story from one point. You make a story from one patient. I'll just, you don't make a story from one patient. If you make a story from one patient, then you say this is from one patient. It cannot represent the whole remedy. A remedy is like a crystal, and you can look at the facade of a crystal, but if you turn it around, you get another facade. You have to be able to look at it in time and at different circumstances, and so on with well-confirmed symptoms. I'll come to another point what Dr. Andre Saini says. Usually, Dr. Andre Saini says, usually when I teach Materia Medica, I put all Materia Medicas on the table. I comment on all of them. What is the importance? What is the weakness? What is the strength? How to use them? The advantages and disadvantages. If you deviate, you lose time in practice. You will not perceive the remedy for many, many years because you are not working in an inductive way. A lot of time you work with fancies, you do not perceive things.
Beautifully stated.
And just as Tikva ma'am said in the beginning, because if we think that there are certain materia medicals which are more of a fairy tale and they are not useful at the bedside, and we are like not that accustomed how to utilize the proving data, there are some other materia medicals which can prove to be very useful. Nash's Materia Medica is one of them. By the time we acquaint ourselves and we like master how to use the proving data and proving Materia Medicas, in the meantime, we need to have some Materia Medicas which are reliable, which derive largely from the proving Materia Medicas. So Dr. Andre Saini has also made a beautiful quote about Nash's Materia Medica. He says, if you take Nash's books, leaders in homeopathic therapeutics, I like Nash because he's reliable. There is nothing in Nash that I have read, especially his Materia Medica, that you can remove, that you can say he's wrong, or that is not confirmed in his Materia Medica. It is like each thing that he says about his Materia Medica is something that is confirmed, and it is like a brick of a building. You cannot change. You can only build on it, but you cannot remove. There are other Materia Medicas. You read it and you cannot associate with it at all. You also started a project called as Materia Medica Pura project. I'll just read out an excerpt from what the project is about. Provings, successfully treated cases, intoxications, and clinical evidence published in the last 125 years have usually not or only unsystematically been incorporated into our Materia Medica and repertories. Many characteristic symptoms, even from the oldest sources, such as Samuel Hahnemann's Materia Medica, Pure Materia Medica, and Chronic Diseases and Allen's Encyclopedia of Pure Materia Medica, have not yet found their way in our repertories. I'll give you an example of this when we see Naxwamika from Materia Medica Pura. For example, around 800 entries from Ipecacuanha, over 1500 from Hipersulf, over 1500 from nitric acid, and 3000 from plumbum have been added through this project, and which are taken from all the reliable Materia Medicas, not fairy tale and not storytelling. So what our Organon says about Materia Medica? Aphorism 143 and aphorism 144. True Materia Medica, a collection of the real, pure, reliable modes of action of simple medicinal substances. Aphorism 144. For such a Materia Medica, everything that is conjectural, all that is mere assertion or imaginary should be strictly excluded. Everything should be the pure language of nature, carefully and honestly interrogated. So, Materia Medica Pura. Dr. Hahnemann called it Materia Medica Pura because it consists of the collective statements of the positive and perceptible reactions of the healthy human being, healthy human body, recorded in the words of persons, acted upon by the drugs, and admits no misinterpretations with the changing medical terminology. Is it fine till here, ma'am? Shall I proceed? You want to add anything? You want to add anything? Because this won't be complete without the expert advice of you and Dr. Sanjay sir. Whenever you think I really mean it. I really mean it. Whenever you think I am diverting from the topic or it's not that relevant, please like interrupt me at the very moment and you please share your own input at the very
Everything
moment.
that you've said is relevant thus far. No, I'm very happy. This is a very nice production you're putting together. Very nice.
Thank you so much, ma'am. Now we'll have an introduction of Materia Medica Pura. The first volume was like published in 1811. Like you can see the details. Second volume in 1816, third in 1817, fourth in 1818, fifth in 1819, and sixth in 1821. You can just see the names of the remedies. I'll just move on to the next slides and I'll come back to these slides if necessary. Like there are 61 medicines contained in these volumes. Besides the magnet, 22 of them have been transferred from Fragmenta di Viribus with their pathogenesis enlarged. The remaining 39 are new. There were 37 provers. Some occur comparatively rarely, but some with great frequency. Example, Franz, Gross, Hahnemann Sons, Frederick, Hartmann, Hermann, etc. Yes, staff is like Longhammer's symptoms, both mental and moral. The prover was deformed in body and unfortunate in his circumstances. It was he was like what is this? He was so depressed and altogether morbid in his disposition that his psychical state could at no time be fairly ascertained to the medicine he was taking. So his moral symptoms of a very similar character under every drug that was proved on him.
Yeah, when we're
Staffs-
doing approving, when we're doing our provings, we're supposed to take our symptoms that we have on a general basis, and we're supposed to exclude them from anything that we record for the proving. So for example, if I were to do a proving today, I've been having a little problem with my shoulder. Therefore, unless it heals and gets well during the proving, I would want to exclude changes in the shoulder. You know, that the chronic of the shoulder we'd want to exclude. Otherwise, it would be a cured symptom if it cured with the remedy. So we always have to change. I mean, we always have to look at our basic, what we are as people, recognize our chronic symptoms before engaging in approving to be able to exclude them, which is an important concept that is given in the organon. Continue.
Staff's erotic symptoms, those were taken with caution. And right. And the fourth point I'll come to it later. The second augmented edition of Materia Medica Pura. The Materia Medica Pura is a Latin name. Rene Arzenmittel, this is the German name. The first volume of the second edition, second, third, and fourth, you can see the years. The difference was that each contains the same list of medicines as before, save that in the sixth, Amra, Carboanimalus, Carboveg were introduced for the first time. Now we have total 66 medicines. In the first edition, the volume contained no contribution from the fellow provers. This is the important difference between the first and the second editions. But when these medicines appear in the second edition, their pathogenesis have been freely supplied from the fellow provers and largely augmented accordingly. We can see that the names of about 37 provers, of which some occur comparatively rarely, but some with great frequency. The third edition of Rene Arzenmittel here, 2 volumes, 1830 and 1833 respectively. The 2 volumes contain the same medicines as before, save that causticum is omitted, and it is from the second edition have been transferred to the chronic diseases. The chief change that has taken place has been the amalgamation of all symptoms of Hahnemann's own observations with those of, and that too in a particular schema. Pathogenesis is increased in most of the instances. I think Tikwa ma'am and Sanjay sir would be better persons to answer or throw light on the subject that why certain medicines are common to chronic diseases in Materia Medica Pura and why some medicines are not common to Materia Medica Pura and chronic diseases. I'll definitely love to have your input either now or after the session or in any other session, whatever you feel appropriate.
Well, the chronic diseases has the provings that are the stronger acting medicines that are not of the general class, but are the antisporics. So in order to cure chronic diseases, Hahnemann came up with a new set of medicines and added some of the older medicines. And there was some debate about which medicines should be added to the chronic diseases as antisporics. And the use of antisporics, as we learn in the Organon, and then specifically in the Materia Medica Pura, in the chronic diseases, they are essential for us to be able to do anything other than acute work or being able to, we are limited just going by basic totality. But then when we go into the chronic diseases, it's like, I call the chronic diseases, a continuation of Organon, because we learn so much more to be able to approach a disease and a person with the disease with the chronic diseases, and the information given in the chronic diseases gives us a lot more skills to be able to manage and go through the healing of people with that new class of remedies. For example, if somebody has mental symptoms, like a mental disease problem, emotional problem, we would want to quell the emotional problem with, let's say, one of the lighter, regular general class medicines, but then we must follow up with an antisporic in order to prevent relapse, etc. So yeah, the chronic diseases it's beautiful. We do it probably at least once per year in the group, page by page. And it's one of my favorite books, but it's very important it's very, very important to have an understanding of how to go about treating chronic disease. But that's kind of outside of our scope of what we're doing here. Okay, yes, please continue.
Yes, I see.
Yeah, so
Yes.
it's like, there's a woman named Denise Stages in New York, and she recently gave a webinar about using the chronic diseases. And she mentioned that it's in the chronic diseases that we learn our Jedi moves. You know what the Jedi are in popular culture? Darth Vader and all that. You're a Jedi,
Star Wars,
and you've got
Star
your
Wars.
lightsaber.
Star Wars.
Yeah, Star Wars. She says it's our Jedi booklet. We have to learn how to use our lightsaber. And those are our Jedi moves that we learn from Hahnemann in the chronic diseases. And I really love that analogy. It turns us not from a basic homeopath, but into a Jedi homeopath.
Great. Like yeah, I'm not finding appropriate word, but that the analogy or the metaphor that she gave, that is like quite empowering, like some some special things she added. Right. The English translation of Materia Medica Pura. The present Materia Medica Pura was translated from the latest German edition by R.E. Dudgeon. The 6 unequal volumes were made as 2 volumes of equal size. The medicines are arranged alphabetically. The essays scattered among the 6 volumes were divided into 2 and put as preface in 2 volumes. So I have a list of the essays which are in volume 1, which are in volume 2. The first
By
English
the way, I'm sorry to interrupt you again. I love those essays. Read those essays.
Yes, I have made a summary of those essays in the slides.
Oh, okay, all right.
The first English translation of Materia Medica Pura was done by Hempel in 1846, but that was imperfect. He omitted many medicines, and the arrangement of symptoms was not Hahnemannian. So yes. Later, Dr. Just a moment. Either Dr. Quinn translated. Dr. Quinn translated Materia Medica. First Materia Medica Pura. The first volume was completed and printed, but was destroyed by a fire at the printing press. The only copy saved in the library of British Homeopathic Society. It has neither preface nor even a title page. The first volume is translated from the second edition, but the medicine it contains do not altogether correspond with the original. Why there is a disparity? I didn't find any other data. Why such disparity is there? The arrangement of symptoms is not that of Hahnemann. He arranged all the symptoms of Hahnemann and his disciples and arranged in a separate list those obtained from the old school authorities. I don't know why the disparity regarding the medicines is there. Maybe Tikwa ma'am will throw a light on that.
No, we're
And
not
now,
throwing any light on that because we don't know.
yeah, maybe some other data, or anyways, it is not whatever the reason might be. Anyway, it's not available. It's only the edition by Dajan what we have.
Yeah, I mean, the schema does change from Materia Medica Pura to the schema in the chronic diseases, because in Materia Medica Pura, it starts with sensorium, and then the mental symptoms are done at the end. And in the chronic diseases, the proving data comes with mind, then sensorium. So the schema changes just between those two books. And Boninghausen gives us an interesting explanation about how Hahnemann changed his idea about how we can, use the, if there's a changed mental state, about how we can use that to exclude remedies in our initial analysis if that's not included in the proving data. So yeah, we're even going to the proving data with the mental state. And it's something that I noticed that a lot of homeopaths have a problem with, is using the mental state from the proving data, because they also want to, they kind of like want to confirm the mental state with a modern Materia Medica and make sure that the personality kind of meshes. But that's not really where we're going. We want to go back to the original materials and not try to kind of mesh the two together. Please continue.
Exploring Materia Medica. Now we'll come to the essays and how they are divided in number of medicines. Just as in the previous slide it was mentioned that the 6 volume were like amalgamated into 2 volumes, and now we only have volume 1 and volume 2. So what's there in the volume 1? We have the translator's preface. We have the author's preface, which is taken from the volume 1 of 3rd edition. And the essays, what ma'am was mentioning about, some are in the first volume, some are in the second volume. Spirit of Homeopathic Medical Doctrine, the preamble, and the medicines from aconite to ipecac. 37 medicines are like there in the first volume. In the second volume, nota bene for my review, again the essay, nota bene for my reviewers, examination of the sources of common Materia Medica, a reminiscence, the medical observer, how like the essays are essays followed by the reminiscence, how many doses of such, how small doses of such very attenuated medicines as homeopathy employs still possess great power, medicines from ladum to verbascum. Now, I guess, so before like moving on to the, I'll just share my journey towards like Materia Medica Pura. I am not among those individuals like NM Khan sir or Tikva ma'am or Sanjay sir who have been associated or who have been like working with Materia Medica Pura since a very long time. As a relatively younger person, very off late, I have been like turning towards Materia Medica Pura. And yes, I would like to acknowledge homeopathy for humanity for that. And my PG guide, Dr. Swati Bhagwat, she always used to tell us, like when I was pursuing my MD in Materia Medica, Like she used to tell us, at least see how Materia Medica Pura looks like. She was like, in the beginning, some doctor mentioned that even in medical colleges in India, we are not encouraged to read Materia Medica Pura or chronic diseases or Allen's Encyclopedia or Herring's Guiding Symptoms. The reason is, it's like keeping the modesty aside. I hope I do not sound like insolent. I hope I don't sound that I am not giving due respect. But there are very few teachers who themselves are like motivated or themselves are very serious about these books, and in turn, it happens that very few. There's always a lack of motivation, and there's always a lack of proper guidance. Like I've been working on how to study Allen's keynotes, how to study Borix Materia Medica, because there is a generation of homeopaths who, ma'am will agree, Sanjay sir will agree, they have never read the source book, but they have practiced all their life using Allen's keynotes and Borix Materia Medica. I was also influenced by that generation. For a while, or for few months, I had been working on how to study Allen's keynotes, how to study Borix Materia Medica. But I was never thoroughly satisfied until and unless I like made my way towards Materia Medica Pura. I need to learn a lot, but I was never satisfied. I'll tell you that even after like working on Allen's and even working on Boric and even lesser red Materia Medicas like Copperthwaite and Pulford, even after that, I was never satisfied, because Materia Medica Pura, chronic diseases, Allen's Encyclopedia, Herring's Guiding Symptoms, Encyclopedia of Drug Pathogenesis, all that was missing. So a vacuum always persisted, even being fascinated with those sort of Materia Medicas.
Yeah, I totally 100% can relate to that, because, no homeopath, even of my age, was taught to use Materia Medica Pura. I had to, find that myself. The guiding symptoms were more commonly used in my generation, and I do use the guiding symptoms because there are remedies that we use on a day-to-day basis that are only in Herring's Guiding Symptoms. I mean, that's the beginning, So that is a very important set of books. And, I was gifted those by my father in my 20s. And they are very, very important. And just because it's not by Hahnemann, what would we be doing without our lachesis? What would we do without our gelsemium? We need these remedies as well. So we need to be able to access the proving data from Hahnemann, from Allen, and some of the more modern but pure proving data, as opposed to the, fanciful things that don't actually get to the meat of the matter when we have an actually sick person that we need to help.
Exactly. I remember the statement of a senior homeopath. Unfortunately, he passed away in COVID, in the second wave of COVID in India. He was an allopathic. He did an MBBS. He was a graduate in modern medicine in India. Yet he was practicing homeopathy. So he once asked me, "Do you have some book? I want some literature on arsenocin." So I gave him a booklet by Forbester. So he told me, "This is good, but where are the proving symptoms of carcinosin? This is more of an essay or an article on carcinosin. I want the proving data of carcinosin." I said, "I'm sorry. You just asked me something about carcinosin. I thought this would be the best gift about carcinosin." So that touched me so much, that though he came from an allopathic background, but he had such a sound grasp of the correct principles, and like for him, the proving data was the original Materia Medica, and every other like was just an article or essay on carcinosin. If you give me the proving symptoms, I would call it the real materia medica. So I would, like, though he came from an allopathic background, such a sound understanding of the principles, like I I felt I'm really short of words to like appreciate him, and really small to like, but that really touched me.
That is a
So,
lovely story.
The translator's preface. Now we are coming to the essays or shall I read the translator's preface, or I'll come towards the drugs and then we can come towards the essays. Whatever you
However you
suggest.
wish.
Okay, I'll directly jump to the merits of the translated work. Medicines are arranged alphabetically. Symptoms are arranged in the plan adopted to the latest editions.
Sir, it is better you share all the slides, sir, because we can continue in other session also, no problem. But because we want to learn, so you don't skip anything, sir. Please, better. Even though if we need more time, we will spend, sir. No problem. Because you worked very well. It's very interesting to learn. Please.
Thank you so much, sir. Thank you so much, sir. I'll come back to this. I'll come back to those slides. I won't skip them. And as just ma'am mentioned, those the essays. Ma'am loves those essays. I'll come back to those slides. So merits of the translated work. The plan adopted for the work. The essays distributed throughout the original volume have been divided into 2 volumes. Just as I said, these essays are in the volume 1. These essays are in volume 2. The alternation introduced by Hahnemann in his latest edition with regard to the indication of the name of the prover by an abbreviation have been extended to all medicines in this translation. These abbreviations are printed in italics. And Hahnemann's abbreviations of his provers' names are not always the same, but uniformity has been maintained in the translation. And there are certain German words and phrases used by Hahnemann for which we have no precise English equivalent. Sometimes 2 totally different things are expressed by one English word. Like I am sorry because I am not like familiar with the pronunciation of German words, but you can see it on the slide. The German halls used for both throat and neck. Breast, either chest or mammoth. First denotes foot, sometimes leg up to the knees, sometimes the whole lower extremities. Schenkel, thigh, sometimes leg, occasionally the whole limb. Trus, the groin or the iliac region, occasionally the whole hypogastrium. I can't pronounce that because that's a typical German name. That stands either for
Shush.
okay,
Shush.
sorry, sir. Sorry, I'm so sorry. That
That's okay. German's
that-
hard, really. German's really difficult. Shush.
that
Jay?
may either represent sight or face, and Drucken, that pressive, sometimes aching sensation, and the author's preface. These are all these. This is the summary of all the essays. I'll come back to these slides after I'm done with the remedies. The preamble. These are the essays from the second volume. Notably, I mistakenly wrote I for E. It should be B and E. Examination of the sources of the common materia medica. This is yet another essay. He mentions the six sources. Among them, guesswork is also there, and the 6th source, that is the actual proving what Hahnemann conducted on the Hahnemann's way of proving. Reminiscence, the medical observer, all these are the essays.
What are the 6 ways he mentions?
Sir, is it okay if I come to that after the mention of medicines?
Oh, okay.
It's scheme of arrangement of medicine in under each drug picture, name of the drug. brief description of its preparation, the part used, the properties, names of Hahnemannian disciples. Like you can, just as I said, just as there were 37 provers, some of the names recur rarely, some of them recur quite frequently. Symptoms are numbered, like in the multiples of 5. Time of occurrence of symptoms in minutes, hours, days. Symptoms got by Hahnemann, his disciples, and other authorities are put together. Symptoms got by Hahnemann without any distinction. Symptoms got by Hahnemann's disciples. Sometimes abbreviations are used. Old school authorities are also quoted. I guess in the beginning of the description, there are two grades. Bolder symptoms are the which have occurred frequently. Some symptoms have been given in the bracket. The symptoms place. These are the doubtful symptoms when circumstances like fright or chagrin, etc., those were supposed to interfere with the action of the medicines. Those are put in the bracket, and those are doubtful symptoms. And if you see this edition, what we have in the market, you can see. I'll just show you. There are some towards the end, there are some asterisk marks. If you open verbascum, like in many drugs, there are some statements or there are some observations with asterisks. Those are annotations by Richard Hughes. And forward by Richard Hughes, who assisted Dr. Dujan in his work. To make this translation of Materia Medica Pura as accurate as possible, it should be desirable that all the citations contained in the work should be verified from the original sources and renewed from thence. Often adds to the value of symptoms that we should know the object and circumstance of its occurrence, the dose by which it was produced, and so forth. Hahnemann rarely gives such information. All these matters will be found in the notes by Richard Hughes in the bottom of the pages. You can read that slide again. That's very important. Like what he says, like the original sources, the circumstances of its occurrence, and by what dose that symptom was produced. I hope that's fine, ma'am.
Very good.
Yes, and this is the ma'am earlier mentioned about the schema, the arrangement of symptoms, the difference in the arrangement of Materia Medica Pura and chronic diseases. But in Materia Medica Pura, this is the arrangement. It begins with vertigo, confusion, deficient mental powers, and the affections of the disturbances of disposition and affections of the mind are mentioned at the end. You can have this, you can just have a look at the schema. I would better way, I would have written that one below the other, so vertically. The plan adopted for the translation, I had already mentioned it. Yes, I'll just quote 3 examples of 3 medicines. Nux vomica. If you the symptoms related to menses and its relation to full moon, all these symptoms which are found in Materia Medica Pura, till of late, those were not mentioned even in Kent's repertory, even in therapeutic pocketbook, even in BBCR. The relation of menses to full moon as regards to Nux vomica, this was not mentioned even in Kent, even in TPB, even in BBCR. But of late, it has been mentioned in synthesis repertory, and it might be mentioned in complete repertory. So for a very long period of time, we had certain symptoms which were never represented in repertories, be it a Puritan repertory or be it a logico-utilitarian repertory. And that is why I'll come back to the slide of Materia Medica Pura project by Andre Saini. If you can just if you have like access to software now, just as an exercise, you can search the symptoms related to new moon, full moon in Naksvamika. Do you find any rubrics? But that symptoms which appeared in the provings are mentioned in Materia Medica Pura. For a very long period of time, the repertories did not make a mention of that. Not even, not, not even the Kent's repertory.
If we just want to, I have in my Materia Medica Pura, I have an outline of the schema.
Yes, yes, ma'am.
Yeah. So we have the schema like this. And we actually have a video on the YouTube channel about the schema. So we happen to have that on the Homeopathy for Humanity YouTube channel.
Yes, ma'am. I guess it's a part of the author's preface, page 4 and 5, right?
Mhm. Yeah. Yeah, but we did a whole thing about it
Oh,
because
great, great, great. I
it's
was
fun.
going. Ma'am, that is why I said this session won't be complete without your input and Sanjay sir's input.
But where is Sanjay?
I
Has not
guess
popped in at all.
he's
Sanjay,
listening. Sir, you are not audible, sir.
Yeah, I am here.
oh, there you
I
are.
was
Okay.
listening. I am listening. I was listening your session actually, but I was having some colleague
Yes, sir. Pure.
over here. That's why I was not able to turn on my video.
Right.
They were
Right, sir.
joining the party. They didn't leave, did they?
Yeah, they also listen.
Are they still there?
No, 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 they gone.
They left in the middle. Oh, come on. You know, these dudes need this session. They need it. I don't understand why they left.
Uh,
It's difficult to force people over here.
Right. See, this is part of the problem that we face is that, you know, these guys, they'll come, they came to Sanjay's clinic and they're like, ma'am, and they're like asking, ma'am, this, ma'am, that, ma'am, this, ma'am, that. But when it comes down to actually getting into the learning, where do they go? See the problem? You have to have enough tenacity to get into the learning. Okay, please continue.
Ma'am, as a part of the exercise, like what was mentioned in MM Pura, but which was not mentioned in the repertories for a long time. Can we make people to search symptoms regarding menses in Nux vomica in various repertories?
Yeah, we can do it. People, open
I
book.
will
Yes,
try complete dynamics.
Yep, do it.
yes.
Can you just
I have a
allow
voting
me
master.
or screen share
Uh,
for time being?
sorry, sir, I didn't get it.
You can use screen share. Everybody's allowed to use screen share.
1 minute, let me check if I am able to. Okay.
Anybody else who has a repertory sitting on your desk or nearby?
Can you able to see my screen?
Not yet.
Now?
No?
I think Satyajit's screen share need to stop for a while.
Okay. Okay, shall I stop the screen sharing? I'll stop it.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Just a moment, sir.
User is out from the web.
Yes, I stopped it.
Okay,
yes,
I will
yes.
share now. Okay, can you see it now?
Yes, sir, we can see.
The menses full moon at. We see Nakswamika
You have to open a
and
rubric.
look at the is Boning Hussain Jar and Spring Muller.
Good. Yeah, Roger's pretty good at updating stuff for us. He's going through Alan right now.
Can you tell me other rubrics?
Yes. So I'll just
Menses full moon and which were others?
Yeah, but Sanjay, didn't you say that you're moving to radar?
Yeah, on 22nd. Satyajit, what was the next rubric? We need to
so
search.
yes. So my unfortunate my radar is not open. It will take a while to
Menses
open it.
suppressed for 6 weeks. Menses suppressed for 6
Menses
weeks.
suppress. Okay.
Yes, and that are renewed at full moon. Suppressed menses are renewed at full moon.
Yes. Brings the menses back at the full moon.
Fullness, menses suppress.
Full moon, sir.
No rubric. Menses, suppress menses.
Menses back at the full moon.
Return.
Yes.
Huh?
Yes, sir. The arrangement is slightly different in
Nakswamika is there
next Omika is there.
and Boning Hussain is inclusion from Boning Hussain.
So it was not there in it is not there in Kent's repertory. It has been recently added in these modern repertories. It is not there in Kent's repertory.
Hmm. And Boning Hussain work is based on Hahnemann's work. Materia Medica
Yes,
Pura is
yes.
what a main source.
Yes, sir.
Pulsatilla is there. Again, Boning Hussain. And Allen. Director. Any other rubric?
So now, yes, just if my radar is open, I don't know why. What it directly goes towards the update whenever the. So at this moment, I only wanted to emphasize this from like I wanted to emphasize the point that it was for a very long time, it was missing from other repertories. Only very recently it has been added from the original sources. This is what I wanted to emphasize.
Yeah.
For a long time, it was there only in Materia Medica Pura.
Yeah.
Uh,
A lot of symptoms from Materia Medica Pura has been missing in Kent repertoire.
Kent's repertory. I met Dr. Roger Van Zanderwood back in 2011. He was invited for a seminar in Bhopal in India. He said that now I have stopped practicing.
Wow.
Now I have stopped practicing, and now
There we go. Unmute yourself. There we go.
yes. Back in 2011, he was invited in Bhopal, India, for a seminar. Like he spoke about therapeutic pocketbook. Like what he said is like Sanjay sir will agree to that. He said that when I come to India, it feels so nice that I don't have to introduce people to therapeutic pocketbook. At least people know the theory part of it. But I'm surprised if you don't know the practical application, what do you do with only the theory part? He said that that's a different thing altogether. But he said that now I have stopped practicing, and now every year I'll keep bringing a new edition of complete repertory. Maybe because of such an attitude, we are having the symptoms which are not mentioned in Kent's repertory. We are having that in complete repertory now.
Yeah, he works on it all the time. Yeah, I
Yes.
watch his updates. Every few days he tells us things that he's
Yes.
updated and changed.
And
To
it's
make
now
it-
it's there now in synthesis repertory also.
Good.
Sorry, ma'am, I interrupted you. You were saying
Oh,
something.
I'm not saying anything really important. I'm just talking.
We'll move on to another example.
Yes.
If we come across a symptom, stammering, especially when uttering the first syllable or when uttering the first word, the person is like compelled to repeat the first word 3 or 4 times. This one, if we come across a symptom, the person is like compelled to distort the face before uttering the word. These two symptoms like remind us 2 different remedies, but one very similar symptom with some other characteristics of it are there in Materia Medica Pura, but we often miss we often miss this symptom. Distorts the face before uttering the first word. This is one symptom. And another symptom is like he repeats the first syllable 3 or 4 times before successfully utters the first word or syllable.
Is there any rubric in this group?
Open it.
Yes, sir. Exerts
Which
himself.
one?
The very first one, exerts himself a long time before he can utter a word.
This one.
Stramonium must be the only remedy, I guess.
Yeah.
Yes. And there's one rubric related to spige. Yes. And there must be one rubric related to spigelia.
Which must? First word?
First word difficult, then smooth speech. Spigelia. But if we see,
and Boning Hussain again here.
Boning Hussain
again. And Boning Hussain sources.
Yes, and the thing is that both these symptoms are mentioned in Allen's keynotes also. So that reliability also, no doubt of the reliability, because again, like confirmed from Herring's guiding symptoms. But if we open euphrasia, we have a very, very similar symptom in Materia Medica Pura.
Which one?
If we open euphrasia from Materia Medica Pura, so I'll open it in my book and I'll let you know.
Euphrasia.
Yeah.
Symptom number.
I'll just come to it.
Is this
Sorry, sir.
this one?
Yes, yes,
Is-
yes. Yes, sir.
It repeats frequently when speaking, both at first word. Kind of fluttering,
Kind of stuttering.
and
Yes, sir,
also of
exactly.
repeating sentences frequently in order to express himself differently, whereas he formerly spoke correctly.
Yes, sir, exactly. So the first half of the symptom very similar to spigelia, with the characteristic of its own, but still the precise mention is missing in the repertory. Just we saw only spigelia is mentioned. This is what I wanted to highlight. If we can open the relevant rubrics from the other. So if we
Which
can
one?
just search for stammering and euphrasia, I have some references from Materia Medica I have taken in my slides.
Can you try to increase the size so I could see it?
Stammering from Euphrasia.
Yes, just like stammering and euphrasia. If we can just have these two.
Four rubrics.
Yes. So here I wanted to highlight that even if repertory makes a mention of that, we do not have a very precise and a very elaborate mention of that what appeared in the proving. We have a mention of euphrasia, but not the way exactly what it was seen in the provings. So I hope I could convey the message.
Right.
So may I share my screen now?
Yeah.
Good demonstration there. Thank you.
Like euphrasia. This is what is written in the Materia Medica Pura. Now I got it. So it's symptom number 42. He repeats frequently when speaking, both at the first word, a kind of stuttering, and also often repeating sentences frequently in order to express himself differently, whereas he formerly spoke correctly. Even though there is mention in the modern repertories, which was not in the earlier repertories, but the elaborate mention is not to be found even in the repertories. What Lilienthal's therapeutic says is, while speaking, he commences many times, not only repeating the first words of a sentence, a kind of stammering, but also after the periods, he often recommences in order to select another expression. This is the closest description. This is the closest description to what is written in Materia Medica Pura. This comes very close to what is written. Otherwise, there's just a running reference of what was written. And I also found something in Allen's encyclopedia and in Murphy. While speaking, he recommences many times, not only repeating the first words of the sentence, a kind of stammering, but also after periods, he frequently recommences in order to select another expression. Formerly, he used to speak connectedly. This is what is in Allen's encyclopedia. And stammering and frequent interruptions in the speech, speech difficult in consequence of a paralytic stiffness of the tongue and of the cheeks, sensation of clucking which mounts into the throat. Now, uh, a question pondered, like in the proving and in the reliable some other therapeutics, like what Dr. Lilienthal wrote comes very close to what is written in the proving. Now, how much trustworthy is it? It is what is written by Murphy. He's trying to correlate the pathology with it. Now, another question like emerges whenever some certain pathology is correlated with it. That one question, one question gives rise to more questions. Like again, we can ponder on this. Like
Yeah.
Murphy relates them.
Very important points to ponder. Very important.
Shall I move on to the next drug, ma'am?
I'm ready.
Yeah. In the chelidonium, like Dr. Hahnemann strongly criticizes the doctrine of signature, even in medical colleges, even in certain materia medicas, the doctrine of signature is still taught as a source of materia medica. Like the doctrine of signature is good to make a drug interesting, or for very practical purposes, it is good to remember certain things. But what Dr. Hahnemann has clearly stated, that the ancients imagined that the yellow color of the juice of this plant was an indication signature of its utility in bilious diseases. The importance of human health does not admit any such uncertain directions for the employment of medicines. It would be a criminal frivolity to rest contented with such guesswork at the bedside of the sick. It is a pity that even today, doctrine of signature is seen as a source of materia medica. It is taught with so much fascination, and for me it can just be a way to remember certain correlations, nothing beyond that.
Yeah, Hahnemann uses such strong words. Criminal, trivial. I mean, come on, such strong words. He really had very strong opinions, and he took his work so seriously that I think that if Hahnemann took his work this seriously, that we should at least, at the very minimum, go to his work and see what he has to say.
Yes. This is what I had to say. Now, if we are left with something, we are left with the summary of the essays, but it's like quite late, so it's up to we had some inputs from Tikva ma'am. Sanjay sir, I would like to have your input. In the very beginning I mentioned that this session cannot be complete without the inputs of you two, so I want your input. Enlighten us regarding materia medica, and when to stop, when to continue. It's as per your wish, sir.
That was for you, Sanjay.
Today he has collected very nice informative data from various sources and correlate things, and it was a really nice a big session like this, being very in communicative way. I don't think there is any flaws to point out.
That way, sir. Thank you so much. But sir, your input, I wish in the in an interactive way, Tikva ma'am was sharing her inputs. That was very enlightening for us. You gave me a brief before the session. I could not include your brief in the session. You were mentioning something about fragmenta de viribus. I just mentioned what medicines are taken from fragmenta and what newer have been added, but you have your own insight regarding fragmenta and MM Pura. So you were trying to brief me something.
Actually, Fragmenta was that 27 drug. The data was collected from whatever information was already present about drug.
But he also did provings in Fragmenta, Sanjay, but the problem is that it's in Latin and nobody had brought it back to
Then
English.
Then after that, when he noticed the data which was available and the patient information was not correlating directly. So there was a lot of missing part in the available data. And that's why he wanted to prove and find whether these symptoms belonging to that drug. And he started proving drug. And he completed this 27 drug. I think it was 1805.
Yes.
1805. Right.
1805.
And
Yes.
after that, he started adding uh, drugs to this work uh, by proving. And by 1811, he completed about almost 95 to 99 drugs. And that time he published Materia Medica Pura. And he names all this work Materia Medica Pura only because it was the pure symptom, experience symptoms. So, and you have compared very nicely. So, I don't think, Tikva, what you say?
About which?
But she has not included that part, but I don't think, because whole work what we have in front of us now need to be focused, not only that 27 remedy. That is the main, but we cannot forget that work on Fragmenta. It was very beginning of proving drugs.
Okay, but I'm really content with the Materia Medica Pura the way it is today and the proving data in the chronic diseases. And I think it is of the utmost utility for the modern homeopath to go back to the original source material and check through that data to make sure that the remedy we are giving a patient corresponds properly to the proving data. It is extraordinarily helpful and it will make your work much more accurate. And of course, there's no criminal triviality to contend with when we are using pure proving data.
Exactly.
Proving data is a final test. We cannot just depend on repertories and any other Materia Medicas. You have just shown us how new repertories lack the symptoms from Materia Medica. And Hahnemann says Materia Medica Pura has those pure symptoms, pure proving symptoms. And he how carefully work on each and every remedy, so minutely, small rubrics, symptoms we can see in Materia Medica Pura. But in most of those lack in the modern repertoire. So that's why we see lot of work being done by Boning Hussain. If you see Boning Hussain characteritis repertoire.
Yeah, the fun thing about Boninghausen is that he tells us to use his therapeutic pocketbook as a study guide. He says, go to the rubric, find the remedies in the rubric, then go back to the proving data and use it as a study guide.
Yes, the name itself, the long name of the book itself, I guess it conveys the message.
Mhm. Yeah, if we use repertory as a study guide for proving data, then we're gonna be really smart.
Yes. Yes. I,
And we really need to be really smart.
And you did very nice work on this part.
Yep, it's been a beautiful presentation. Thank you so much.
thank you
How
so
many
much,
more
sir.
slides available, sir?
I guess at least 15 slides. At least 15 slides are there.
Okay, how many more, sir?
15 slides. Those are regarding the summary of those essays, like what ma'am mentioned. Those slides are regarding the summaries of those essays.
Yeah,
Okay,
I
we
love
will
those
continue.
essays. And I'm pretty sure that we have those essays in full on our YouTube channel. I remember
That's good.
reading through these essays and explaining them as we go through it. So these are available on the YouTube channel as well.
That is,
Because as you know, anybody who's familiar with what we do here at Homeopathy for Humanity is that I will take text, I will read a portion of the text, and I'll explain that portion of the text, unless it's so clear that it doesn't need any explanation. But I'll just take a little bit, I'll go through the whole text. That's what we do. Now, some people criticize that and they say, that's not teaching. That's not telling what you've understood from it. And I'm like, that's exactly what I'm trying to do, is I'm trying to show what Hahnemann understood from it, not what I'm understanding from it. And so we have a lot of that kind of content on our YouTube channel for both Bonninghausen and Hahnemann, which are so much fun and so much fun to do. So please take a look there. Maybe Sanjay, you could put the link for the YouTube channel up for people that are still here. A lot of people disappeared.
Now, where to put that link in
In the
this?
chat box. Chat box.
The chat box links will not show up in the video.
Oh, okay. Well, all right, whatever. Okay, yeah, Satyajit, go through a couple more things.
Satyajit can add that link in the last slide and
I can
type over
also,
there.
Yeah.
put it in the description box when I upload the video.
Okay, I'll try that. I'll try to add the link.
But I can also
Can
put it
add
in the
slide.
description box at the bottom of the, underneath the YouTube video, you have the description box. I can also put the link. I mean, no, obviously, if you're going to go to the video, you already have the videos. Never mind.
Yes. I'll try to add the link. I'll try to add the link.
Yeah, but
in
if
the
you
slide.
found the video, you're already there at the channel, right, guys? Not a
right.
brilliant thought. Okay.
Exactly. But now
Yeah.
because multiple things are open, it will take a while to open the
Yes, and never
browser.
mind. Just forget it. Just forget it. Go here. Let's see some more of what you prepared.
Yes. So I'll go back to the. Yes, it's the summary of those essays.
6 volumes.
Sorry, I opened the wrong slide. The summary of the essays. Right. You have the translator's preface, the volume 1, and then some of the essays like.
Oh, we done that,
Spirit.
Primble.
Yes, so preamble and spirit of the homeopathic medical doctrine. Someone was asking what are the 6 examination of the sources of common materia medica. The first is the guesswork, what even Dioscorides propounded. Yeah, like yellow turmeric to cure jaundice. What Dr. Hahnemann severely criticized in the Chelidonium picture. The second source of virtue of drugs in materia is the sensible properties. The first is mere guesswork. The second is by maybe the physical properties. Third is
Chemistry.
by chemistry, what we call the chemical properties. Fourth is, it's the most common. It is from the practice of the physique, namely the employment of medicines in actual diseases, whereby it was imagined that information could be obtained with respect to the diseases in which the different medicines are useful, like directly employ and like see the outcome. Fifth is by accident. He gives some examples like the inhabitants of deep valleys were found to suffer from goiters after thousands of drugs and domestic nostrums had been tried in vain. The roasted sponge found to be the best thing for it. Or venereal diseases, after other drugs, mercury was leapt upon and proved itself specific. And sixth is the actual way what Dr. Hahnemann executed in his work, and that proving data is like amalgamated in Materia Medica Pura.
Sir, repeat once more, sir. It's very interesting. It's from the point 1 to 6.
You mean the sources?
6
Okay.
point.
Yes,
Points.
yes, sir.
Okay.
Yes, sir.
The first is mere the guesswork, which even Dioscorides like propounded. We studied Dioscorides in history of medicine. Dioscorides, other people, Paracelsus, and all these people. These like it was a merely a guesswork. And the second was what we have been studying in college is like from
Sir,
the physical
excuse me,
properties.
sir. Sir,
Otherwise,
excuse me. For example, in digitalis, even in allopathy also, or in even in common Materia Medica, they also using it as a cardiac remedy.
Yes.
But even it comes in proving. So what way we can?
Sorry, I didn't get a question completely. Yes, some of the drugs which were already there in the,
for example, Ipecac or for example, Podophyllum we using for diarrhea, but in common Materia Medica also, they in native practice they using Podophyllum in diarrheal diseases. Also, even in allopathy, they using alkaloid podophyllin.
yes,
They using.
yes. They use many active principles like hyoscyamin or atropine. They use many active principles of our homeopathic remedies. But the like pharmacology and the way they ascertain the use of it is completely different. What makes their use and our use very different.
Okay.
The second is like when you try to correlate the physical properties of a drug, like it's yellow juice, so yellow turmeric, it might be useful in jaundice. Like same way you correlate gelsemium, but that is only on the doctrine of signature. The third is by the chemical properties. Even today we are
Most
taught
of
in
modern Materia Medicas show one of these. Most of Materia Medica show this basis.
Yes, sir. And the fourth is like
they're using periodic table and all things. That's
yeah.
Yes. And the fourth is like it is from the practice of physique, namely the employment of medicines in actual diseases, whereby it was imagined that the information could be obtained with respect to the diseases in which the different medicines are used. It is sort of, I interpret that as a hit and trial method. I interpret, if I'm not grossly wrong, ma'am and sir can like correct me. This is more of like hit and trial method. Even today it's followed in modern medicine. Hit and trial. What happened in COVID was this way: hit and trial. Like try this, try that, try this, try that. Hit and trial. Even in COVID, it was like done.
Yeah, it resulted in a lot of deaths. It was terrible.
Exactly. But I interpret this as hit and trial method. And as far as what I can interpret, that is very much correct. If I'm grossly wrong, anyone, sir, ma'am, please, you can correct me if I'm grossly wrong. I interpret this as hit and trial, which can be seen even today. The fifth is by accident. And just the way he gives examples, the inhabitants of deep valleys were found to suffer from goiters after thousands of drugs and domestic nostrums had been tried in vain. The roasted sponge, what we have spongia, found to be best for it. Venereal diseases, after other drugs, mercury was proved to be useful, and it was seen as a near specific. And we have the example of cinchona bark, and then what we know, it was like a falling apple to Hahnemann, just like Newton. And the sixth is what actual provings of the way provings conducted by Hahnemann. It was mentioned by Albrecht von Haller, but actually executed by Hahnemann. These are the sources. If I may interrupt, can we end this session here from my part?
Yes, yes.
Yes. I'm sorry, doctor, I couldn't complete all those slides, but it would take 1 hour more, and I need to make space for my uncle who would be sleeping in this room.
No problem, sir. Hahnemann was born in late night, April 10th and beginning of April 11th. So even in Hahnemann's, recently I saw the horoscope of Hahnemann. So that also mentioned it like 11th morning. That is 10th April 23:55 to 11th morning 0010. That is 12:10 a.m. Like that mentioned. So we can continue up to no problem. Otherwise tomorrow.
Yeah, so Satyajit, would you like to come back another time and finish up what you're doing?
Yeah, sure, ma'am. Why not? Why
We'd
not?
be very happy to have you come back and continue with this.
Thank
Yes,
you. That
ma'am.
would be
Yes,
We
great.
can
pleasure.
have part 2
Yeah,
of the
Sure,
session.
sure.
part 2.
Sure.
Sounds great. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much.
And we
And,
look forward
you.
to having you come
the
back
screen
again.
share.
Screen share. I'll stop the screen share.
Yeah, so we definitely look forward to having you come back again. And then you can let your uncle go to bed. And
Yeah.
we'll be happy to have you come back.
Thank you so much. Thank you
You're
so much.
most
once again.
welcome, and thank you very much for putting forth the time and effort to come and join us on this auspicious occasion.
Thank you for having me with you.
Yeah. And
For
it
giving
was
me this
really a
opportunity.
very good session, Satyajit.
Thank you, sir. That means a lot. The spontaneous appreciation means a lot.
This work is always always we are hungry for such work.
And we are
Never
hungry for your guidance. We are hungry for your guidance, sir.
Yes. Thank you for.
Thank you once again, sir. Thank you so much.
It's a very interesting session, sir. It's really interesting, and your way of presentation and your hard work preparing the slides. So really, it's impressing me. Thank you, sir. Thank you, ma'am. Thank you, Sanjay sir. Thank you, ma'am, for
Guys.
yeah.
Thank you for being there till the end and appreciating.
Mhm.
Yes.
Thank you, everybody who attended,
It
and we'll
really
upload
worth
this.
to have such a nice celebration of Hahnemann's birthday.
Absolutely.
This would be a tribute in the real sense.
Yeah,
Yes,
right.
in the real sense. Yeah, 100%. In the real sense, because we're actually talking about Hahnemann and his work. Mhm.
Yeah.
100%. Very, very good. Thank you very much.
Thank you, ma'am.
Okay, you
It's
can close
really
the
memorable.
saying thank.
It's really our memorable session, sir. So wonderful. Thank you.
Okay, thank you for attending.